Hello, my dear friends. If you watched part 1 of this series, you already know that something is happening with our sun. Something that science is beginning to document, and that spiritual communities have been quietly discussing for years. A shift in solar energy that many believe is connected not just to the physical world, but to something far deeper, to consciousness itself, to the inner life of every human being on this planet. In part 1, we explored the outer picture, the science of solar cycles, the historical patterns, the growing sense among millions of people across the world that something in the energy of life is changing. In part 2, the Pleiadians want to speak about the inner picture, not what the solar flash may do to satellites or power grids, but what it may do to you, to your awareness, to your emotional experience, to the way you perceive yourself and the world around you, and most importantly, to what you may be capable of becoming on the other side of this shift. So take a slow breath, and let this message find you exactly where you are. Part ONE, what the Pleiadians say about the sun. In many spiritual traditions, the sun has never been understood as simply a ball of fire in the sky. It has been understood as a living consciousness, a vast, ancient intelligence that is in constant relationship with every living system within its reach. The ancient Egyptians understood this. The Mayans understood this. The Vedic traditions of India understood this. Culture after culture, across thousands of years, arrived at the same essential understanding, that the sun is not just a source of heat and light. It is a source of information, of frequency, of something that, when received deeply enough, has the capacity to transform the inner landscape of a human being. In many channeled teachings that spiritual communities have preserved and studied, the Pleiadians speak about the sun in a similar way. They describe it as a cosmic transmitter, a being of immense awareness whose energetic output is not random but intentional, whose cycles of activity correspond not just to physical events on Earth, but to cycles of consciousness, to moments when the conditions for inner transformation become unusually favorable. And many who resonate with these teachings sense that we may be living through one of those moments right now. According to this perspective, the current period of elevated solar activity is not simply a scientific phenomenon. It may be the outer expression of something happening at a much deeper level of reality. A transmission being sent not through words, not through technology, but through the most fundamental carrier of information in our solar system, light itself. And the souls who are open enough and aligned enough to receive that transmission are, according to many in spiritual communities, already beginning to feel its effects. Part TWO, what the solar flash may mean for you. Let us be clear about something important before we go further. When spiritual communities speak about the solar flash, they are rarely describing a single catastrophic event. They are describing a process, a gradual, accelerating intensification of the solar energy reaching Earth that, over time, may create the conditions for a profound shift in human consciousness. Think of it this way. Imagine a room that has been in darkness for a very long time. The people in that room have grown accustomed to the dark. They have organized their lives around it. They have developed systems, habits, and beliefs that make sense in the absence of light. Now imagine that light begins to enter that room, not all at once, gradually, a little more each day. At first, it is barely noticeable, a faint brightening at the edges. But over time, it becomes impossible to ignore. And as the light increases, something remarkable happens. Things that were hidden in the darkness begin to become visible. Patterns that could not be seen before become clear. Possibilities that seemed impossible in the dark begin to look not just possible, but obvious. This is what many describe when they speak about the solar flash and its relationship to human consciousness. The light, many believe, is increasing. The frequency, many sense, is rising. And in that rising frequency, things that humanity has not been able to see clearly for a very long time are beginning to come into focus. What kinds of things? In Pleiadian teachings, this is addressed with great care. The first thing that many describe becoming visible in the rising light is the truth about who you actually are. Not who the world told you to be. Not the identity shaped by your upbringing, your culture, your education, your fears, and your defenses. But the deeper self, the soul self. The part of you that existed before any of those layers were added, and that continues to exist beneath them now. Many people who are spiritually sensitive are already experiencing this as a growing sense of distance from the roles they have been playing. A quiet but persistent feeling that the person they present to the world is not the whole truth of who they are. A restlessness that cannot be satisfied by the things that used to satisfy it. According to this spiritual perspective, this is not a crisis. This is the light doing its work. The second thing that many describe becoming visible is the truth about what actually matters. In the lower frequencies that have dominated much of human experience, a great deal of energy has been invested in things that, when seen clearly, do not actually nourish the soul. Status, accumulation, the endless pursuit of external validation, the compulsive need to be seen in a particular way by other people. As many describe the frequency rising, these pursuits begin to feel hollow. Not because there is anything wrong with having pursued them, but because something deeper is being heard now. Something that was always there, but could not be felt clearly through the noise of a lower frequency existence. And the third thing is the truth about what is possible. For generations, humanity has operated within a set of assumptions about what human beings are capable of. About how much compassion is realistic, about how much cooperation is possible, about how much awareness a person can actually attain in a single lifetime. Many in spiritual communities suggest that these assumptions are simply the residue of operating in a low-frequency environment for too long. They are not eternal truths. They are limitations that belong to a particular moment in human history. A moment that, according to these teachings, may now be shifting. Part 3. The signs many people are already experiencing. One of the most remarkable aspects of these teachings is how many people, independently and without prior knowledge of Pleiadian material, report experiences that seem to align with what is described. These are not dramatic supernatural events. They are subtle, quiet, happening in the background of ordinary life. But for those who are paying attention, they feel unmistakable. Many people describe a growing sensitivity to energy. Places that once felt neutral now feel distinctly heavy or light. Certain people leave them feeling drained in ways they never noticed before. Others lift them in ways that are almost physical in their effect, as though some kind of internal awareness is becoming more refined. Many describe changes in their sleep. Not simply insomnia, but a different quality to their nights. Dreams that carry unusual clarity and meaning. Periods of wakefulness between 2 and 4 in the morning that feel alert rather than restless. A sense upon waking of having processed something important during sleep. Many describe what might be called an acceleration of inner patterns. Things that were once manageable begin to feel urgent. Relationships that had been quietly misaligned for years suddenly feel impossible to continue in their old form. Decisions that had been postponed for a long time begin to feel necessary now, as though life itself is pressing gently but persistently toward resolution. And many describe moments of unexpected clarity, insights that arrive not through thinking but through a sudden opening. A sense of understanding something deeply and completely without being able to fully explain how or why. A knowing that precedes and exceeds the reasoning mind. These experiences, according to the Pleiadian perspective, are not symptoms of something going wrong. They are natural responses of a sensitive, awakening human system to an environment of changing frequency. They are signs that something is doing exactly what many believe it was designed to do. If you are experiencing any of these things, please hear this. You are not alone. What you are going through is part of a process that many people around the world are describing right now. And rather than something to fear or manage or suppress, many interpret it as something to welcome, to move toward, to allow. Part 4. What the Pleiadians emphasize most. The Pleiadians place enormous emphasis on something that is easy to miss in all the discussion about cosmic shifts and solar cycles. They place enormous emphasis on the ordinary, on the small, daily, seemingly insignificant choices that constitute a human life, on the quality of attention you bring to the person in front of you, on the honesty or dishonesty with which you engage with your own inner experience, on the care with which you treat your own body, your own mind, your own emotional life. Because here is what many of these teachings communicate very clearly. The cosmic shift, however real it may be, does not do the inner work for you. The rising frequency, as many describe it, creates conditions. It opens doors. It makes certain things easier to access and certain old patterns harder to sustain. But it does not bypass the fundamental requirement of the awakening path, the requirement of conscious participation. You have to show up. You have to choose. You have to do the quiet, unglamorous work of examining your life, your patterns, your beliefs, and your behaviors with honesty and willingness to change. Because frequency, as many spiritual traditions describe it, amplifies what is already there. For souls who have been doing the inner work, who have been choosing growth and honesty and presence, a rising frequency amplifies those qualities. Life begins to flow with greater ease. Synchronicities increase. Clarity deepens. The sense of being aligned with something larger becomes more constant. But for souls who have been avoiding the inner work, who have been choosing distraction and the maintenance of comfortable illusions, a rising frequency amplifies those patterns too. The friction increases. The cost of avoiding the truth becomes higher. The gap between where one is and where one is meant to be becomes more apparent. This is not punishment. It is simply the nature of frequency. Higher frequencies reveal what is real and dissolve what is not. And the only way to navigate that process with grace is to be honest, to look clearly at your life and your choices, and to have the courage to move toward what you actually know to be true. Part 5. What comes after? One of the questions that comes up most often in discussions of the solar flash is this: what comes after? If this shift in solar energy really is connected to a shift in human consciousness, if the rising frequency really is dissolving old patterns and creating space for new ones, what does the world look like on the other side? The Pleiadians are careful here. They do not offer specific timelines. They do not make predictions about external events. And they emphasize again and again that the future is not fixed. It is shaped by the choices of millions of individuals, moment to moment, in ways that cannot be predetermined. But they do speak about the qualities of what many believe is possible, and what they describe as both beautiful and grounded in something that resonates as deeply true for many who encounter it. They describe a world in which the default experience of being human has shifted, where the baseline experience is no longer primarily one of separation and scarcity and fear, but one of connection and sufficiency and curiosity, where people relate to each other not primarily through competition, but through genuine interest and care. They describe a world in which the relationship between humanity and the natural world has been fundamentally transformed, where the living systems of this planet are understood not as resources to be extracted, but as partners in a shared web of life, and where human creativity is directed not toward domination, but toward collaboration. They describe a world in which the question, "what am I here to do?" has a different quality for most people. where the pursuit of purpose is not a luxury reserved for a few, but a normal part of what it means to be alive, where education, work, community, and relationship are all organized around the understanding that every person carries something genuinely valuable to contribute. Many may ask whether this is simply a dream. The Pleiadians say it is a memory of something that is possible, and that what many call the solar flash may be part of the mechanism by which what is possible begins to become real. Partus Ix, what you can do right now. This is the part of the message that the Pleiadians always return to, because it is easy, when engaging with ideas of this scale, to feel simultaneously inspired and helpless, to sense the magnitude of what may be happening, and to wonder what difference your individual choice actually makes. The answer, according to these teachings, is that your individual choice makes all the difference. Not because one person can single-handedly change the world, but because the world is changed by the sum of individual choices, made one at a time, in the ordinary moments of ordinary lives. And because you are not as separate from the collective as you may feel, your inner state contributes to a shared field. Your shift in awareness becomes part of the frequency available to everyone. So here is what the Pleiadians ask. Not grand gestures, not dramatic transformations. Small, consistent, courageous choices made every day. Choose presence over distraction whenever you can. The world offers an infinite supply of things to look at, consume, and be distracted by. But the soul does not grow through consumption. It grows through presence, through the willingness to be here, fully, with what is actually happening, rather than always somewhere else. Choose honesty over comfort whenever you can. Not brutal honesty that wounds others, but the quiet, consistent refusal to pretend, to say what you actually mean, to feel what you actually feel, to acknowledge what you actually know, even when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable. Choose compassion over judgment whenever you can. Not because judgment is always wrong, but because the reflex of judgment keeps you separate from others, from yourself, from the fuller truth of any situation. And in a rising frequency, separation becomes increasingly costly to maintain. And choose trust over fear whenever you can. Trust that the process you are in has intelligence. Trust that the discomfort you feel is not a sign that something has gone wrong, but that something is going right. Trust that the life you are living, with all its imperfections and uncertainties, is exactly the life that is capable of taking you where you are meant to go. Part 7. A final message from the Pleiadians. Before we close, we want to offer something from the Pleiadians that goes beyond information or perspective. They say this: we have observed you moving through the density of this world with a courage that you rarely give yourself credit for. We have seen the ways you have loved in circumstances that made love difficult, the ways you have sought truth in a world that often discouraged those who look too closely, the ways you have kept something open inside you even when everything in your environment argued for closing. We want you to know something clearly. Whatever shift may be occurring in the frequencies of this solar system, it is not something being done to you. It is something many believe is happening with you. You are not simply the recipients of a cosmic event. You are participants in it. Your consciousness, your choices, your willingness to grow and to be honest and to keep showing up. All of it is woven into the larger field that many sense is shifting right now. You are not small in this. You are essential. Not because you are special in a way that separates you from others, but because you are here and you are listening and you have not stopped searching for what is real. That quality of soul, that refusal to stop seeking, is precisely what this moment calls for. Many believe the light is rising. Many sense the frequency is increasing. And the souls who are awake enough to receive what it may carry are the ones who will help the rest of humanity understand what is happening and why it matters. That is you. We are with you. We have always been with you. And as the light continues to rise, according to many who hold these teachings close, we will be here, closer than ever, walking with you into what comes next. Closing. If this message found you today, something in you already knows what to do with it. You do not need to understand it perfectly. You do not need to have all the answers. You only need to take the next honest step in front of you, whatever that looks like in your particular life, at this particular moment. Share this with someone who is asking the same questions you are asking. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us, what is the one shift you have noticed most in yourself over the past year? We read every comment, and your words help others feel less alone in what they are experiencing. Take what resonates, leave what does not, and trust yourself completely to know the difference. With love from the Pleiadians, and from all of us here at Lumora Awakening, the light, many believe, is rising. And so, without question, are you. This content is offered for spiritual reflection, symbolic interpretation, and personal insight only. It is not presented as scientific fact, medical advice, or a prediction of real-world events. The narration in this video is generated using artificial intelligence voice technology. Please use your own discernment and personal judgment when engaging with this material.